The hush that swept through Lipan, Manhattan's crown jewel of fine dining, was so thick you could hear a heartbreak. Waiters froze mid-stride, diners set their forks down, and even the pianist seemed to lose the next note. All attention locked on the far corner where a billionaire, radiating entitlement, unleashed a storm of insults at a trembling waitress. This wasn't a scene from a movie, this was real life, raw and unscripted. But nobody expected a shy waitress to stare him down and fire back with a line that would flip the script on everyone in the room. Yeah, that actually happened, and in that instant, the life of Sophia Jenkins was changed forever. If you'd asked Sophia a week earlier, she'd have laughed at the idea that she'd be the center of such a public showdown. 28, juggling 2 jobs, buried under student debt, raising her feisty 7-year-old Kiki in a shoebox apartment out in Queens, that was her reality. Survival mode was her baseline. So when she landed a part-time gig at Lipan, the city's French-Asian fusion mecca for the rich and restless, she saw it as her lifeline. The tips alone promised a shot at giving Kiki more than a patchwork childhood. Here, staff wore crisp uniforms with monogrammed lapels and recited the wine list like poetry. Chef Corinne La Mera legend ran the kitchen with an iron whisk. Word had it Beyoncé and Bill Gates had both dined here, slipping in and out like urban ghosts. Sophia showed up early for every shift, sweating the details, learning the delicate choreography of luxury service. How to pour without spilling, how to vanish and reappear with exactly what the table needed, how to smile with just the right amount of warmth. She poured herself into the work, taking pride in a perfect service, and every dollar she saved went straight into Kiki's Dance Dreams piggy bank. At home, their modest apartment was brightened with Kiki's crayon masterpieces and taped-up magazine pictures of places they wanted to visit someday. That night, the night the reservation book was full of bold-faced names. The staff whispered about a billionaire VIP, and the tension in the kitchen could have curdled cream. Ethan Caldwell, the tech mogul whose algorithms ran Wall Street and half the government surveillance, swept in with bodyguards and a chill that seemed to drop the temperature by 10 degrees. To the world, he was ruthless brilliance personified. To Lipan, he was just table 9. By twist of fate, Sophia ended up serving his table. The original waiter took a dramatic spill in the kitchen, and suddenly Sophia was thrust into the lion's den. Caldwell didn't even look at her at first, barking orders over his phone, tossing out wine requests, demanding the rarest steak with the most precise Sedesno garnish, of course. His associate, Aaron Welsh, was polite but obviously tense, the air thick with unspoken hierarchy. Sophia played the role, calm, precise, polite to a fault, even as Caldwell cut her off, insulted the kitchen, and seemed hell-bent on finding something to complain about. She delivered his rare Wagyu steak, truffle mashed potatoes on the side, praying for smooth sailing. But of course, trouble found her. Caldwell took one bite, grimaced, then loudly accused her personality of trying to serve him raw meat. The room went dead silent. Even the pianist's hands hovered, unsure. Sophia apologized, offered to take the steak back. Caldwell ramped up, raising his voice so everyone in the room could hear just how little he thought of her and the entire establishment. You should know how to serve a steak properly. Are you trying to give me food poisoning? His rant rolled on, a performance for the wealthy audience. Sophia kept her head, apologized again, retrieved the plate, fought back tears. As she returned with a slightly more cooked steak, Caldwell doubled down, this time demanding her manager escalating, dragging her reputation through the mud in front of the whole restaurant. People like her shouldn't be allowed in places like this. I've run companies with thousands of employees, and I'd fire anyone who acted like this. The staff froze. Other guests pretended to be absorbed in their own drama. But every eye was on Sophia. Years of swallowing insults, making herself small, something inside her snapped. She looked Caldwell dead in the eye and said, steady as steel, "You can buy a steak, sir, but you can't buy decency." You know that movie moment when the hero finally stands up? This was it, except it wasn't a movie, it was just a woman tired of being stepped on. The words seemed to ripple through the room. Silence, then tentative applause, soft at first, then growing. Caldwell's face turned a dangerous shade of red. "How dare you?" he thundered. "Do you know who I am? I could ruin you." Sophia held her ground. "I know exactly who you are, but that doesn't give you the right to treat people like they're disposable." Now the staff was caught to defend their colleague or appease the billionaire who could tank their reputation with one angry phone call. Caldwell threw cash on the table, more than enough to cover the bill, and stormed out, entourage in tow, threatening vengeance. Sophia stood there, shaking, stunned by what she'd done. The whole place seemed to breathe again, quietly rallying behind her. The manager and chef, torn between pride and fear, reassured her but warned there might be consequences. Outside in the alley, Sophia tried to pull herself together, wondering if she'd just torch her future for one moment of backbone. But a coworker, Marta, found her and said simply, "You said what everyone's been thinking for years." Word spread fast. By morning, shaky phone footage of Caldwell's tirade and Sophia's clapback was all over social media. "You can buy a steak, but you can't buy decency" became a rallying cry, hashtags and all. Messages poured in support, outrage, requests for interviews. The restaurant called an emergency meeting. The owner, Patrice Fontaine, a steel-spined woman who'd built Lipon into an institution, stood up for Sophia in front of the entire staff. "We don't condone abuse of our employees. Decency matters here, even for billionaires." But it didn't stop there. Caldwell's people threatened lawsuits. The media camped out, but public support overwhelmed the noise. Sophia was called to the front of the room and told, in no uncertain terms, that her job was safe. "You spoke the truth," Patrice told her. "And sometimes that's what changes the world." Customers started coming in just to meet the waitress who stood up to the billionaire. Some left huge tips, some just wanted to shake her hand. The story hit another gear the afternoon Bill Gates sees. The Bill Gates walked in, quietly introduced himself, and said, "You reminded the world that decency can't be bought. I wanted to say thank you in person." Sophia was floored. Patrice and Gates, longtime friends, asked her to be part of a new initiative project, Decency, aimed at protecting service workers and empowering them to stand up for themselves. Sophia, just weeks removed from living tip to tip, was being asked to be the voice for thousands who'd been humiliated, dismissed, and undervalued. At the launch party for Project Decency, Sophia stood in front of a crowd of chefs, activists, and celebrities, heart pounding, voice trembling, and told her story. "If we can create an environment where no one in the service industry feels powerless against abuse, then we've done more than just go viral. We've done something real." Bill Gates and Patrice nodded in agreement, and the crowd rose in applause. Sophia, the single mom from Queens, was suddenly the face of a movement. She was offered a part-time role as an ambassador to travel, speak, and help drive change. Terrifying? Absolutely. But for the first time, Sophia felt her voice mattered. And so life shifted. She went from wondering how she'd pay for Kiki's dance lessons to being an inspiration to millions. The night she stood up to Caldwell became the stuff of legend, a single act of defiance echoing through boardrooms and break rooms across the country. Whether Sophia chooses to stay at Lipon or join Project Decency full-time, one thing's for sure, she'll never go back to being invisible. So here's the real question. What would you have done if you were in Sophia's shoes? Is standing up for dignity worth risking it all? Let us know in the comments, because stories like this don't just end. They keep unfolding, one brave voice at a time. If you found this story moving, share your thoughts below, and remember, your voice matters more than you think.